Welcome to this week's edition of Beyond the Ink. Through the previous videos, one of the things I hear often is I need to smile a little bit more. So I will work on that. Hopefully it won't be a phony smile, but this is a lot of fun what we've been doing. So it's interesting at Swift when I walk around the plant and see the production workers, the pressmen, the bindery people. They've been here 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. I'm going to introduce you today to a gentleman who has been with the company over 40 years. And I think that kind of says it all about the company. Um, I can't speak to when he was hired, but I think he was of age to work here because when you look at him, you'd be like, you've been here 40 plus years? Anyway, I would like to welcome Ron Stansbury to the chat and introduce yourself, Ron.
Hi, thank you, Larry. Yeah, I'm Ron Stansbury. Actually, when I was hired on here, I was 17 years old. So I actually could work here, but I couldn't work with the machinery. So I started out in the shipping department. I could make boxes and I could drive a car. So that's kind of what I did my first year. Um, 44 years. Wow. My wife said it the other day. She goes, you've been at that company almost a half a century. And yeah, wow, I feel old. But I don't feel old, but that's old.
Crazy. So tell us a little bit about, I'm sure you've seen many changes in the industry and how things have changed and from when you started to where we are today.
Yeah. So, wow, a lot of stuff changes and it changes constantly. So from when I started here to where we brought it to one point was a hard journey because everything moves so fast and the change and you got to keep up. So for years now, we've been kind of hitting a smooth road, but we're ready to transition again. So it's kind of like you watch a rebuild of this company. This will be like my fourth rebuild to watch it kind of transform into what it's going to be to stay up with the future. And, like I said, a lot of people ask me, wow, how can you stay with a company that long? And like I told Larry the other day, I said, I got one good story. I've got hundreds, but I got one good story because you get sold on things. If you go out into the press room, there's a 30-foot banner out there that says game on. And I could probably ask the 50 people that work here, and probably there's going to be less than 10 that go, wow, there's that. I never saw that. Well, there's a meaning behind that. And I'll tell the story real quick, Luke, because I know I'm on a time limit. So when we first got the 5-color, and this was a rebuild of this company, when we first got into the commercial market, we got our first 5-color. So what a great accomplishment for the company, and man, what an opportunity for me to show my skills. Well, with that, customer demand. So Brian, I'm going to tell a little story, and you're kind of involved, so bear with me. One day he came out after I had finished a 12-hour shift, me and my feeder, which now is my lead pressman. That's impressive. And said, hey, the customer called and says he needs this book in the morning. Well, granted, we just worked 12 hours printing it. It's a saddle stitch book. The bindery had left for this shift. So it's just me and Jimmy after a 12-hour shift, and we're tired. I said, well, we'll give it our best shot. I said, Jimmy, can you put your dirty clothes back on, which he did. And I told Mr. Swift, I said, we'll do the best, but it's just the two of us. He said, well, no, it'll be the three of us. We thought he was kidding. So I set the folders up. They got folding it while I set the saddle stitch up. We got that going, and then it punched. So this whole time we're going at it as hard as we could, and then all of a sudden the next morning the shift starts coming in for the day shift, and we're still there, but we're completing the job. We didn't even know that we just worked around the clock a 24-hour shift with the owner of the company in there with us. Yeah, so it's stuff like that even through the good and bad in 44 years. Yeah, you stick around, and it means more than just a job to a lot of us here. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and I've said this before, when you work for a family-owned business, I mean, I think probably when you first started, you worked for Brian's father.
Yes.
So now Brian is our generation. He's been in some of the videos before. But when you work for a family-owned business, I think you're just you're treated differently, and you're part of the family, and you take pride in what you do. And again, to go back in through the plant and to see the people that have been there for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, it's pretty much says it all. um, and that's, we joked about this years ago. This was, you said, around 90, late
Yeah, I
90s.
say 96.
90s,
Be my
okay.
guess. Yeah.
Back then, when a rush job was 2 to 3 weeks, let alone 24 hours. And then it's too bad we didn't have the technology back then to take videos of Brian spending all night working with you guys to get the job done. But everyone tells you we'll do what we can and we'll get everything accomplished as fast as we can. That's a great example from years ago how we can do that, and we still do that today. Um, what other things have you noticed that are changed? Or I know with the technology, with AI, it's what else do we need to be doing to stay ahead of the curve?
So everything is customer driven here. It's been that way the whole time. Um, it's just the different ways you compete. Um, we used to compete on our ability to do certain things when I started here. The railroad tariffs and the insurance was kind of like a widget. We cornered it. We were nobody could beat us at it. But the times changed. We had to get into the commercial market, and boy, what a struggle, because there was commercial printers out there that really had it fine tuned. So we had a catch up period to make, kind of the bumpy road, but we got through it. And then our quality and the willingness to let us fail a little bit. And let me tell you something, that goes a long way, because it's your human equation that you don't want to make a mistake when you're in a job. It was almost like encouraged to, hey, guess what? Let's try this, and we know we're gonna make a mistake. So, but by those mistakes, we learn some of the best processes and qualities that we can offer a customer. The difference nowadays, we compete on speed, not quality. Quality is always going to be there, but it's the speed now. Mr. Swift always calls it the Amazon effect. Well, it affects us in the same way. And that's what we're diligently working on now, is to work on our procedures and our infrastructure to meet like he says, the next 100 years of the printing needs.
Yeah. I always say, I tell this to anyone that's new here, or even people who've been here for a while. The two most important people in this company are Sherry, who I think was on the show the last month or so, and then Ronnie.
I don't know about that.
And if you need something done and you need a tight time frame, you go to Ronnie and say, here's what I have. And 99.9% of the time, he's going to make it happen. Sometimes, schedule just doesn't permit, and he's always upfront and honest. If he tells you it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and I hope everyone enjoyed the show, and we'll see you soon.